What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here with Retro Horror, and today we're starting our video Nasties series. Got a whole big list of films that were either prosecuted or taken to trial and then dropped the charges on. So we're gonna go kind of back and forth between the two, and do it as long as we feel like doing it, I guess. and
Yeah.
We're gonna start out with Contamination from 1980, and we'll do a brief synopsis and dive into a little bit of our thoughts on it and everything, and all that good stuff. So let's go over a brief synopsis. Of course, there will be spoilers because we're going to go into the kills and stuff like that. So if you guys haven't seen it, then there's going to be some things spoiled for you. So
Yeah, just by way of background, so there's like 73, I think, films that were either prosecuted and then dropped. And so we took these films, and I thought what we would do is we just did a random sort. So we're kind of going to do each week totally random. In fact, we could do a random list at the end and determine what we're going to watch next. But Contamination came up as the first title. Now, this film was on the prosecuted list, but was dropped. So it's on the second list of video nasties. Produced in 1980, directed by Luigi Cozzi. I think it's Cozzi.
yeah.
Of course, he goes by a different name on this as director. He goes by an alias, but essentially he went to his Italian producers after Star Crash, the success of Star Crash, and said, why don't we do something based on Alien? And when he said Alien and money, the Italian producers said, heck yeah, man, let's do this. It was originally titled Alien Arrival on Earth. That was the script that was written by Cozzi. And the producers wanted it changed. So that's how we got Contamination, because apparently they were making a film. They wanted to make a film with that similar title, and ended up just forcing it on Cozzi.
Yeah, I think the alternate title on here is Alien 2 or something like that.
Yeah, it's essentially a loose sequel to the original Alien, but it's done on Earth for budget constraint purposes. Basically, the real problem with this film is that Cozzi didn't have a lot of money. The guy that did the special features had done Fistful of Dollars. He had done a bunch of great stuff, but the special effects in this, particularly the Cyclops at the end, was pretty cheesy. At any rate, what you got is Ian McCulloch is in this one, and he is a astronaut, and he and his buddy Hamilton had gone to Mars, and in discovering in Mars this glacier that housed these alien eggs. And when they came back from Mars, somehow the alien eggs arrived on Earth, and they find them in New York. You've got multiple chest explosion scenes, and then you've got scientists that are trying to figure out what the hell is causing this in New York. And that segues into Ian McCulloch and the scientists going to Colombia, of all places, to a coffee factory. Mm-hmm. And doing battle with the Cyclops. So that's kind of a rough synopsis of the film.
Right. Yeah. And the character of Hamilton, I don't know if it struck you like this, but he struck me as like a knockoff, like Tony Montana as well.
Yeah.
He presented himself and dressed and everything, and his haircut and all that. He kind of just, they were kind of still running off of that vibe a little bit too.
Yeah. It was, Ian McCulloch, he was like a regular in these things. I thought he was pretty good. He was kind of playing this drunk, down and out, depressed. I guess he was depressed after the Mars thing, that the scientists go and find him like surrounded by a bunch of Heineken beer bottles. And
yeah, I love when they're telling the story too, where she's showing pictures and he's doing the backstory of when they were on Mars and everything. And he's like, they were green, just like the ones in the photos. And the photos are black and white. Like, what really?
Yeah, I mean, they clearly lifted the eggs right out of Alien. So this is kind of a cross between Alien and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I think. And, if you watch the extras, Cozy was saying that another inspiration for this film was them. I don't know if you caught that.
I watched some of the extras. I did watch the one going talking about the Italian ripoff phase, and of course getting into a lot of trouble with studios and things like that because it'd be too close to the U.S. release and Italians just ripping everything off that was popular. They mentioned like Indiana Jones stuff and of course the Jaws ripoffs that we know about. And then I watched a little interview with Cozy from like a newer interview.
Yeah. I guess the other interesting tidbit was that Carolyn Monroe was supposed to be slated to play the scientist in this, and they ended up with this Canadian actress that, and if you look at her credits, basically she did things like In Praise of Older Women, movies like that, but she ended up in Contamination. If you look at her credits, it's all these romantic dramas, and then you've got this one. So.
Just kind of an oddball, yeah. And that Ian McKellen, whatever you say his name, he was mainly TV actor, and
before
this,
he has he did a lot of stuff with
he was having the Zombie Creeping Flesh or something like that, or
he did the Zombie Creeping Zombie 2, basically the Fulci film.
Yeah, it's so hard to determine some of the names of these Italian films. When you shot over that list, I'm trying to find them. Like, okay, what other names did they go under? Because they have like 5 different titles they fall under depending on what countries they're released and everything. And sometimes you're buying the same movie twice because it's got an alternate title. You don't realize it. You're like,
it's funny though. This one, of all the ones that have all these multiple alternate titles, I first thought, I pulled this out of my arrow and thought, wasn't this released by someone else under a different title? And I thought, originally I looked like my 88 selection had Alien 2, but it wasn't that one.
Right.
Apparently,
like Contamination 0.0 or something like that, right? Isn't there another Contamination?
Yeah, but that's a different. Yeah, that one too is confusing, but that's a different film. This one was released as a DVD by Blue Underground at one point. And then Canon Films distributed this in North America. I don't know if you knew that, but
I couldn't remember if does that come up on the Blu-ray at the beginning? Does it say Canon? No, it's a North American release.
I don't recall, but so this thing was funded. I couldn't find anything about the real economics of this thing, but I did see that the Colombians, that was filmed partially in Colombia, like the coffee factory was in Colombia, and they shot it in Colombia. And apparently it was funded partially funded by drug money.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like all the exploitation films they do with the all the movies they do in the jungles and stuff back in the 70s too, where it was real low budget and funded by like the governments and the kind of crooked people there. Yeah. So you have the UK release, I have the US one.
Oh, you got the US? Okay. I don't even have a slipcover for this. You got a slip?
No, it's so shiny. It's so beautiful.
Where'd you order that from?
I got this off a buddy of mine a long time ago, another guy that used to do YouTube videos. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't see it very often. So
yeah, I'm jealous of that slip. That's pretty cool.
Oh, it's better than the movie. I gotta say, I mean, this movie was pretty entertaining though, and it was one of the funniest, not intentionally funny movies I've seen. So, like the over dramatic death at the beginning and at the end, where it takes him like a half an hour to die at the beginning. It's just like I'm just laughing my ass off. Like,
yeah, it's funny because from a British standpoint, in terms of video nasties, those slow motion chest bursting scenes was what got it on the list. And yet, when you watch that, it's like it's hilarious. It's so bad, it's hilarious. It's so cheesy.
And being that they're in those big suits all the time, that there's stuff under there. I mean, it's obvious it sticks out farther than it was just a little bit ago.
Yeah, I mean, they're wearing these cheap looks like they wear these painter outfits where you're going to spray paint your indoor of your house. You've got these little cheap masks and it's just ridiculous. It's
Not even
hard to
covering
believe.
their eyes or nothing. And they're just they just touch the eggs with their bare hands. Like, man, let me just grab that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few comedic scenes, and then you have the kind of guy that thinks he's like a stud or whatever, kind of going after the what's her name, Colonel Holmes, scientist lady. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the scene where she's like trying to get Ian McCulloch to like wake up out of his stupor. He ends up like bitch slapping her, and then they're okay together. Then they're fine. No one, Italians would do that. It's like he had to slap her and get her into her place.
I think he slaps her, and then she's like, "Are you ready now?" or something, or something along those lines. Let's
go. I mean, who would do that but the Italians? It's hilarious.
Yeah, but they're not against nudity like the U.S. though. So, which this one I don't think had any nudity, but
no, it didn't have any nudity. This one, I think this one's just a lot of fun, but it's certainly plagued by low production values. But at the same time, it's like they shot in New York and they shot in Colombia, and yet they didn't spend a whole lot of money on the special effects. I mean, the Cyclops was apparently Cozy wanted to do stop motion animation, which I think would have been great. And that because of money constraints, they ended up doing this animated, basically this stiff Cyclops statue that they had to like push around. They had to get it to move. They had to like have 3 or 4 guys pushing it around. It looked ridiculous.
Yeah. I was when he mentions about taking them to the Cyclops, I got a little bit excited. Then I saw it and I was so let down. I'm like, what is this?
Well, if you've seen the classic, It Came from Outer Space, right?
Mm-hmm.
It looks a lot like that.
Right.
Yeah, It Came from Outer Space had a Cyclops, but it was a little bit better done than this.
The mouth of it reminded me of Little Shop of Horrors. Like,
yeah.
The big
it's a blast. I mean, some people claim that it's kind of drags in certain portions, like in the second act, and a little bit. But I think some of that's due to the fact that they turned this kind of into a sci-fi James Bond spy thriller, and so they inserted into the story, instead of making it a pure science fiction, they kind of went with this James Bondish type of deal, and I think that kind of dragged it down too.
Yeah, that was one reason I put off. I mean, I've had this for years, and I had just now watched it because I heard it was just boring. It was like you said, it dragged real bad, and I just like, I don't know if I want to watch this. And then I put it in to do this video, and like, I mean, it starts off really good, and lots of things going on right at the beginning, lots of action, gore. And then, it does drag a little bit. It did feel a little longer than 95 minutes, but overall, I mean, I enjoyed it all the way through. I mean,
yeah, no, I was into the story. I've watched it. This is probably my 4th time watching it. And I listened to the Chris Alexander, the editor of Fangoria. He has like an audit commentary track on here. It's pretty good. But it drags for some people, but I enjoyed the story. And, I enjoyed seeing the interaction between McCulloch and the scientists, and then of course going to the Columbia, to the coffee factory. That was pretty. I found it interesting and engaging.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what they were they growing these eggs in the fields? I mean, what was going on there? I didn't really.
Yeah, so basically the eggs were in hibernation in this glacier in Mars, and they needed heat, to basically do their thing. And so I guess South America is a perfect place for that. But I never quite understood. At first I thought, well, this is going to be just like the aliens where they're inhabiting another human life form. But really the eggs just are there to explode people's chests. I mean,
yeah, what was really the point of them? I guess to use for like world domination and stuff like that. They were trying to take over the.
Yeah, I thought it was going to go more into the territory invasion of the body snatchers, but it was really just the eggs explode and the human around it explodes.
Your weapon to take over the world is an egg that takes forever to finally
Yeah,
explode. Like nobody can run away from it or something. Well, she couldn't because she was locked in the bathroom. But yeah.
I was expecting it more like where Hamilton, the other astronaut who was kind of psychically attached to the Cyclops. I thought it was going to kind of go more like that than the direction it went. But I enjoyed it either way. I mean, I still give it an overall 7 out of 10 just for the fun factor.
I don't give ratings, but I say it's worth a pickup if you're a collector like we are, especially grab the Arrow edition and add it to your collection. I think it's definitely worth watching and worth owning on Blu-ray, especially the treatment that Arrow gave it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. 7 out of 10 on this one.
I usually do skip it, stream it, or buy it. So
Yeah.
I just ratings change so much that you go back next year and watch it like or
Yeah, I knew you're using My Movies to track your stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm using Letterbox, and I went back and I watched this in the middle of 2020, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. So my rating hadn't changed since a year later, less than a year later. So yeah, I think it overall it's one of the better video nasties.
Yeah. It was an entertaining time. Like I said, I probably laughed 3 or 4 times out loud when it wasn't supposed to be funny. So
Well, the only time I laughed out loud was when Ian McCulloch bitch slapped the scientist. It's like that's how you treat your women if you want them to stay in line, right?
oh yeah. Like I said, the whole time she was in the bathroom, though, I'm just like, she's banging on this fucking door. This egg's making noise. How does nobody and they walk right by her room, and I'm just like, there's no way.
Yeah, that was ludicrous. I mean, how did she get locked in the bath? How did they arrange to have the egg in there and the bathroom door so it would lock from the inside? Come
like,
on.
where did they even come from with the egg? Like nobody saw them taking it all the way to this room, or like you kind of said earlier, how did they even get the eggs back to Earth to begin with? Like it never shows.
It never really shit. Well, I just don't think they had the money to do it that way. They just.
I mean, he just like put it in a suit and hid it. I don't understand. But yeah, like I said, overall, I think we both enjoyed this one, and it's definitely worth checking out.
Do you want to? Yeah, I don't really have anything else on this one. Do you want to? While we're doing this, do this on the fly. I can do a list random sort and see what we got for the next one.
Sure, why not? Hopefully, it's something that I own or can find, because I'm sure you own all of these.
No, I don't own all of them.
And there's a different amount depending on what list you go by. I was looking, like some of them say 76 total, some of them say like 74.
Yeah, so if you total them up, let's see. Hang on a second. It's not going to let me do that. 39, 33. Yeah, it's like 74. So let's see. Let's do one of the prosecuted list. I'm just gonna on the fly right here sort this.
Yeah, we can alternate back and forth between prosecuted and dropped. So
I know the suspense is killing you. So let me see.
Oh yeah. I can't do a dermal. I can't do it.
Well, that's not what I want.
Hope you guys are entertained.
All right, here's the list randomizer. So we're going to go with the prosecuted list. Pasting it. Here we go. Drum roll.
I can't. I tried. I can't get it.
And the first one that comes up is Gestapo's Last Orgy. You got that one?
It is actually on its way, believe it or not.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
So if it gets here in time, then sure. And I just saw something on Severn just posted something on Facebook that was actually it's just crazy that that's the one you drew, because they posted something saying that the was it the BBFC or something like that? Is that they're still doing still talking about that movie today? Like,
yeah.
Find what what the post was here.
Well, that a lot of those grimy, this weapons and chains is grimy type stuff.
Banned again, doing their bit for Brexit. The BBFC are protecting the good citizens of the Isle from watching the foreign filth, Gestapo's last orgy. Don't worry, people of Blightly. There are plenty of other ways to get the movie without lawfully paying an honest, hardworking UK distributor. Should you wish to see it, it's on YouTube for a start, and there's an old DVD from Intervision. So, I mean, I guess it was just another thing. Still too outrageous for Britain's censors on...
right.
Yeah, so...
Well, can you believe that Contamination finally, it was still banned until 2004. 2004 is when they finally, Britain kind of let it go and have a distribution within Britain. That's crazy.
Well, I'm sure it takes a lot of people rediscovering the film and, saying, hey, why is this still banned? What's going on?
Yeah. All right. Well, if you get it, if you get Gestapo's Last Orgy in time, we'll cover that next week, I guess.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I just placed a pretty big order from actually multiple places. Went on a little bit of a spree, and then I'm done for a really long time. So trying to build up the collection before I go to kind of a very period of getting other things together. So anyways,
all right. Well, I enjoyed it.
Yep, and I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. Let us know what you guys think of this movie, if you've seen it, or what some of your favorite video nasties are, or anything you guys want to comment related to the video nasties in general, or just to say hi. You're more than welcome. So thank you to Retro for coming up with this and getting me involved with a lot of movies I probably wouldn't watch otherwise.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right. Well, thanks for watching.
All right. See you guys.